Hello out there, social media land. It is another wonderful Wednesday. And guess what that means? Even then, even when Wednesday. And you are with me on Elevation Moments, and I'm glad to have you in the house. I hope that you all have had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you didn't eat too much turkey, too much ham, and hopefully not a whole lot of cake. But if you did, there's always another day for you to get back on track. And that's what we're going to do starting today here on Elevation Moments. It has, like we told you last week, it's been a while, but we're coming back. We're back on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays right now. We want to continue to empower, embrace, and educate all of us to be elevated and not tolerated. And so we're glad to be back here on today. It is a cold one. It's this what is it? Mr. Grinch said it's a cold one, Mr. Grinch. But we also know that also means that it is coming about that time of season where we all need to be ready to get ourselves back on track. Because guess what? Particularly during this time of year is when most of us start thinking about the things that we didn't do or we haven't done, etc., etc. Hello, Pastor Deborah. Thank you so much for being with me, my dear friend. I do appreciate you to the utmost. I said I'm going to have to hire you as my marketing director. The way you be pushing us out there, girl. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. See, there's something about good collaboration. There's something good about having good people and friends like my good friend, Sister Pastor Deborah, who always is supporting us. Go out there and support her ministry, because I'm telling you, that little lady right there, she's going places, and we don't want you to miss one piece of her information. God is using her mightily in this season, and we want you to be able to experience her. And guess what? She's also a life coach as well. So you're getting a double portion of what you may need to help you move on to your next level. So let's get started with it, right? But as I told you, this is a time of year where typically we start worrying about the things that we didn't do or we haven't accomplished and all of that. When we get to December, most time people, and in the last 4 months of the year, we start complaining about what we didn't do or we couldn't do or we shouldn't do or we should have done it and we didn't do. Well, one thing is for certain, and two things is for sure. If you woke up early this morning, you were still able to move around, you still have the faculties of your mind, then there's still opportunity for you to do what you need to do. And that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about getting back into the swing of things that you and I, sometimes we go back down the rabbit hole that we shouldn't go back down. How about that? Can we agree to or disagree on that? Because I'm here to tell you that sometimes the greatest thing is acknowledging what you need to do to get back on track, right? And so with Elevation Moments, as some of you know, we come to give you some coaching tips. This is our coaching moment, and we set you up for you to be able to get us some nuggets that you can take and empower your next day, right? And so today we're going to talk about a subject that we started talking about a little bit, and then we'll back off of it, then we'll start talking about it again, then we'll back off of it, right? And also today I'm going to give away some freebies. Well, maybe freebies. I call them freebies because anytime you get something that is discounted or reduced, that's a discount. That's almost a freebie to someone that's in our industry, right? So today I want to talk about boundaries, right? we want to get into talking about boundaries and those things that can hinder us from continuing that process, right? And many of you know that in our positive self-building class, and if you haven't registered for one, you need to go ahead and do that because we got it open. But one of the things that we talk about in all of the classes that we teach with Elevated Not Tolerated Academy, which is one of the items that's under the Victoria Elevates umbrella, we talk about setting boundaries because it is one of those things that most of us find hard to create and harder even for us to stand up and take notice of, right? And so sometimes we talk about the traditional things with boundaries, but with Victoria Elevates and Elevate Not Tolerated Academy, we talk about various things, and we want you to be able to use these practical thoughts that are based on scriptures and they're based on other avenues that we have researched, right? But one thing is for certain with boundaries, it's important that you understand how boundaries can affect your movement, how boundaries sometimes will keep us from, completing our goals, right? But you have to set boundaries because it keeps you in tune to what you're doing. All right, now, Miss Thirsty Thursday, Miss Carrie Nelson's out there. Welcome, Miss Carrie. Thank you so much for being here, because music makes the soul be at peace. And so Miss Carrie Nelson, and she is the hostess of Thirsty Thursday, which you better be looking for. It's coming up this month. She's doing a celebration. We want you to be a part of that. And something about these two young ladies, Miss Carrie and Pastor Deborah, that they have in common. They're two of the co-authors in the new book that we are the visionary for, and it's called "It Started with Me." And so you can either look out for these two ladies. I'm telling you, don't sleep on them, because they're coming for you, right? So let's talk about these boundaries, because boundaries will keep us in tune to what we need to accomplish. Boundaries are those things that people we'll start setting them in place, but then we'll back off of it because we don't want to interfere or hinder anybody else, right? Boundaries are for you. Boundaries help you develop a place of blocking off the world, if you will. Boundaries are those key things that you need in order to help you accomplish what you need. So when we're talking about boundaries, one of the things that I want to talk about, the first point I want to make about boundaries today, is that boundaries are not one size fits all. What I do doesn't always fit what you do. Boundaries are those things that we have to say, this is what I'm going to stick with. It's like setting yourself on a timetable and sticking to it. It's the same principle when you're setting boundaries. When you're talking to people, places, and things, you set out a goal for people to acknowledge. In our building positive relationship class, that's one thing that I teach my students, is that in order for you to have effective communication, other people need to know what they can and cannot do around you. And setting those boundaries can sometimes be, we'll get into I'll do it like this because that's what Coach Victoria does. Look, don't do everything. Yes, we'll give you templates. We'll give you ideas. We'll give you suggestions. But boundaries are not one size fits all. Boundaries are based on who you are, right? So many times we assume that boundaries should be the same for everyone, but they are highly personal and they should be situational, right? And what I'm saying about that is it's essential for us to tailor make all of our boundaries based on our values, right? What we're trying to accomplish. That way other folks will learn what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it, right? So it's essential for you to make your boundaries based on the things, the values, and the capacities that you have, and the content of the relationship that you have with that individual. When I'm teaching the positive building relationship class, I often teach my students that, every situation can be different. That's the situational part, right? Because how you handle Jane might not be how you handle Bob. Right. And this is the reason why. When you are establishing, and let me say that again, when you're establishing effective relationships, you handle people on a different basis, right? How I talk to Miss Carrie might not be the same way that I talk to Miss Deborah. Why? Because I know each one of them individually, so I cater my boundaries with them in a different way. When you are establishing relationships, and this is a tidbit, this is a positive building relationships one-on-one, so write this down. Tip one-on-one from that class. Always determine how you start with someone is how you're going to end up with them. Okay. And what do you mean by that? When you're setting these boundaries, however you start the relationship out with anybody, you establish a form of ways that you talk to that individual. Be it communication, be it usually it's communication, y'all, just to be honest. Communication, or even in a social environment, right? When you are setting true effective boundaries, what happens is we start trying to create boundaries in the middle, right? So now it's time for you to revamp that and think about it from the beginning. What did you give people access to in the beginning? Because that's how you have to rearrange their thinking pattern, because you're changing their mindset to fit what you're about to walk into, right? So when you're setting these new boundaries, you got to remember, how did you start the relationship with that person? right? So it's important to know how you start relationships in order for you to create safe and peaceful boundaries for yourself. Right. So if you started out now and now you're thinking, well, I got to go back and I got to revamp it, or how I talk to somebody or how I handle somebody, it's okay. The only thing I'm going to tell you with that is that you need to make a statement. You need to give them a statement sentence that states, hey, I'm revamping my piece for me. Y'all write this down. I'm revamping my piece for me. And so I'm having to set boundaries around myself in order for me to accomplish what I want. So if you are reestablishing boundaries and you're reestablishing some things with folks, make sure you let them know, I am reestablishing who I am to save my peace. Right. And keep in mind, when you're saving your peace, you're actually saving somebody else's. Right. Because let's be real. Y'all, come here a little close. When you're saving your peace, that keeps you from getting in altercations with somebody else, right? That's right, Miss Carrie. Let them know that you're revamping my peace for me. That's it, girl. You got it. So when you make that statement to someone and they still don't understand it, well, you give them one more opportunity to get what you're talking about, right? You let them know, look, I'm in a place of growth. And growth means I have to establish what, when, and where, and how I do certain things, which means I have to separate myself. I have to keep myself into a place. Many times I say this, what's this close to me is in my space, and this outside of that is my atmosphere. If you're this close to me, that's the space, and that's where the boundaries have to be set. If you can get this close to me, then I need to set some boundaries so you don't cross over into my space, right? And so when you're revamping, you have to tell that person that, look, it's not about you, even if it may be. You say it's not about you, it's about me and my peace. And that's why I have to set these boundaries. When you are in this place, it is it defines what your unique needs are going to be that you are trying to meet. And boundaries have to be realistic. Boundaries should be something that is realistic, that like I said, that engulfs about what you're doing, right? So I get excited when I talk about this because a lot of us, we don't do it. But when you have to look at it and say, this is what I need. Okay, so for instance, let's say boundaries could be about time, right? There's a specific time that the Bible even tells us there's a time and a season for all things, correct? Well, there's a time and a season for us to react and deal with other people, right? There's a time and a space that we should be able to adhere to our own rules and regulations. That's right, Miss Deborah, you said it, my friend. It's time for us to understand that when you are setting these boundaries, that it is important for us, right? So when you talk about time, that's one thing that we have to make, that we establish with people, right? If when you go to work, what do? You have a set hour that you go to work. Even as entrepreneurs, hello out there, entrepreneurs, you should have a regular business hour schedule for yourself. That's setting an ultimate boundary, right? That's telling anybody who's going to reach out to you what your schedule is and when they can invade your territory, right? And a lot of times we don't want to do that because we don't want people to be offended, nor do we want to miss out. But can I be honest with you? Setting effective times for people to reach out to you is going to enhance not only your business, your job, but it also will help you when you are actually trying to develop a growth pattern for your business, right? Setting effective time management skills is going to be effective for your business. So if you go to work from 8 to 5 and they tell you 8 to 5 is your business hours, right? And you get an hour for lunch, then what are you going to do? You're going to work your time between 8 and 5. And you're going to only take a break when you're supposed to take a break and when your lunch break is. That's the same thing that you have to do. That's the same boundary that you need to set for your business, for yourself. When you're at home working by yourself, it's the same option, right? It's the same thing that you have to establish. On Mondays, I teach class on Monday nights most times. And so on Mondays, my time is from 5 in the morning. This is my contact time. Don't y'all call me 5 though. At 5 in the morning until about 4 in the afternoon. After that, my focus is on getting prepared for my students and making sure we've got things ready for that. At that point, I have time that I can establish that I can say, hey, this is the time that you can reach out to me. This is the time that you can talk to me. But if those times have not been established, then people will just reach out to you at any point at any given time. It's time for you to set the pace for the people. How you deal with people at the beginning is how you're going to continue to relate to them. So what do you do now that you got to revamp? You say, this is my business hours and this is my personal hours. If you are a friend that are also a business colleague, such as Sister Deborah and Miss Carrie, they're both of my colleagues, but we have established times. They know if they need me, they can text me and say, hey, I got a question. Are you available? Or they'll say, okay, your business hours is X, Y, and Z, which most of my people say. I work all the time. So they'll say, hey, can I book a time for me to talk to you? Can I be honest with you? There's nothing wrong with you setting a booking schedule for everybody. Can I be honest? From the pulpit to the corner store, y'all already know I was going to say it. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. Setting established time for people to reach you is going to be beneficial. Now, there's also a backside to that, right? Now, my brother, if he was on, he would say, well, I called you during your business hours, but you still didn't reach out to me, right? Let me tell you something. There's sometimes you have to reestablish yourself. Your day is your day, right? Your day is your day. Because when I tell you, when there's something that you have to accomplish, sometimes it can be extremely stressful. What I mean by being stressful, I mean that in some cases, suppose you're working on a project. I'm working on several projects right now at the same time. So I have to designate certain hours. I may do from 9 to 11 on one project and roll over to 11 to 1 on another project. But guess what? During that time is my time. I still give myself about 15, 20 minutes outside of that block because I know that life happens, right? Remember that life happens, but if you have a controlled environment where you're setting established goals, and look, guys, I say this in my own house. When the doors close, that means I'm in business. Don't come on my door. Don't bother me. I'll let you know when I'm finished. When I get ready to do a live and when I'm recording and videotaping and those types of things, I let them know up front, look, I'm recording between this time and this time. I got class between this time and this time. This establishes sound boundaries that people won't cross, right? But if you haven't established them, you need to do so today. It'll make a world of a difference in your business. I promise you, it will make a world of difference in your business, and it will make a world of difference in your atmosphere. It makes a world of difference when you're creating, when you're studying, when you're making preparations to do something. It always ends up being to your advantage once you establish what time you are going to be available. Okay? I want to take a quick moment just because a few folks are not familiar with some of the services that I offer here. So I want to give you just a little bit of something, and we'll be right back with point number 2. Taking a chance. Taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. All right, all right. Welcome back, and welcome back to all of you that are out there in social media land. Go out there, share, carry, and like, and let somebody else know that Elevation Moments is back in business. Well, hello, Dr. Peters is in that house, my dear good friend. Look, the Lady of Purple, that's who I call her. She is one of our phenomenal, she's a family member here. We got to bring her back onto the show. Dr. Peters, is such an honor to have you in our vision, in our media space, and keeping us up on our toes. And we can't wait to come have you back. And when I tell you that it's important that, yes, Deborah, you are in my circle, girl. See, that's something that we're getting ready to talk about too. Because when we start talking about setting boundaries, the people that are in your circle, right? And then if you've been in my positive self, in my building positive relationships, you'll know how important the circle exercise is to your beginning and to your end. You start with the circle and you end with the circle. However, it's who's in the circle with you. Who's in the circle with you? That's the important portion of it. It makes a difference when you start looking at some things on a different level. When you're able to understand how important that your circle is. Your circle, again, creates the environment for your boundaries, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is enforcing your boundaries and being consistent with it. Enforcing your boundaries and being consistent with it. This is a key component that most of us have an issue with, is being consistent with it, right? And enforcing it. It's important you set the boundaries. You can call me between 8 and 5, and then you can book me for other times available. You can submit your application to me by such and such a date, and within 2 weeks, I will be back with you. I'm available for social contact after the hours of, between the hours of, right? Now, I'm going to shock some of you out there that are listening to me. I have even sat down now, and I have established when I will not be available for just idle conversation in the evenings. And why is that? Because as we get older, we have to enforce sleep. Right? Our sleeping habits have to be enforced, y'all. I'm a person, I can tell you, this is one of the biggest challenges for me, Dr. Peters, right now, is because my mind never goes to sleep. One of my colleagues, Miss K, always says, she always asks me, does my mind ever sleep? Nope. It never does. It's always a constant going on. There's something always being created in the back of my mind. But what I have found about that is because I had not established an effective time for me to go to sleep. An effective time means I shut down everything by a certain time of day. And at the end of that time, it's over, right? So about 10:30-ish, you will see that if you're trying to reach out to me and it's not an emergency, I'm going to end that conversation by 10:30. Why? I teach classes. I have things that I'm working on. And when I've been saying this, thank you, Dr. Peters, she's with me. This is something important that we all need to be doing, to be able to say, look, God has given us 24 hours a day. Right? Let's just go there. Let's go there biblically. God has given us 24 hours a day. But what is so unique about that is even God rested. So what does that tell you? If he rested, so can I. So can you. So can we. And we can enforce that by sticking to our boundaries. Sticking to our boundaries is going to cause somebody to change how they view us. When I'm talking about enforcing the boundaries, it's setting the boundaries is half the battle, right? Establishing those boundaries, that's half the battle. The real challenge is being consistent when you're upholding them, when you're consistent doing. Many overlook the importance of clear communication and follow through when a boundary is crossed. That's not the time to do it. You need to be able to follow the boundaries before it gets crossed. Boundaries are set for a specific reason. Even some time ago, as I began to talk about how, people ask me how do certain things end up happening in my life, right? And one of the things that I said was I got to the point where I was always willing to share all of my valuable information, and many other people were not. When I think about how many people have taken advantage of me because I was tired and didn't shut it down. This is the thing that is so true. Dr. Peters, you are on it. If you can't see it, she says, if we don't, our body will shut down and then there's no more choices. Dr. Peters, as you know, that has happened to me on several occasions. My body said no more. It's time to shut it off. Well, instead of my body having to tell me now I'm doing it on my own, because I learned that many times people will drain you for your information or drain you. Look. Hey, Miss Harrison, I see you out there watching. Good to have you with us. This is the thing. Most of the time, people will take from you when you're at your weakest moment. That's why it's important for you to rest. Setting those effective boundaries and saying what time and how you're going to react is going to be able to tell you what you can get, what information is coming out of your mouth. See, this is the thing. I tell my clients all the time, I am a coach to the bone, right? I'm a business coach to the bone. I am a personal development coach to the bone. I'm telling you, rest is necessary, because when you are not at your peak moments of the day, when your body is tired, when you're not ready for some things, that's when the enemy will come in and kill, steal, and destroy what you're giving out, because the body is tired. So the body continues to move on. What I have decided and what I have developed for me, based on some things that God has downloaded to me, that there are certain hours of the day that I have to begin the process of shutting down. I don't care who you are. That's from the pulpit to the corner store. That's from the White House to my house. I don't care who you are. When my body starts saying it's time for you to be quiet and you to rest, that's what I'm doing. So by 10:30 at night now, I'm shutting it off, right? By 10:30, if you haven't completed our conversation, then it's over with. Now, there's some folks out there that knows I love to talk. I love to socialize. And sometimes I can go over that. But guess what that does? What that means is I have to set another day to create that same environment. Going back to the wheel and not reinventing it, but making sure that you are consistent with it. See, many overlook the importance of the communication piece, of clear communication, and they follow through it again only when something has been crossed. There's people that I used to work with that I had started programs with. Baby, can I just tell you, they're taking my programs and they ran with it, right? Because I wasn't ready. I was tired. So now I have to reestablish those things, right? And you say, why are you talking about that? Because I don't know, maybe somebody out there needs to hear this. Rest in. I'm telling you, this is not the time or the season for us to stop doing what we need to do. I think we got a little delay going on, but people, trust me, I'll catch you back up if we missed anything. When you are not at your highest, and you're not at your most rest, the enemies didn't want you to know about this boundary. So I'm giving them. I'm still here. If it starts, we are back. Like I said, if it starts to spin, just deal. If y'all could just stick with me, I'm gonna get through these last few points for you, because it's important. That's the reason why the airways doesn't want you to know about it. But I'm going to get it through today, one way or the other, right? All right, so we're back again. So let's get into this, because when people know, when you practice this right here, practice the key of no. Practice telling people no. Being consistent when you say no. No with confidence. Say no with confidence. Say no with confidence. Say no with confidence. Let me say that again for the people in the back, for the people that are walking around saying yes to everything and accomplishing nothing. There is a way for you to say no and feel good about who you are. There's a need for you to say no in your season right now, because if you can say no with confidence, that will give you the opportunity to do what you need to do. Saying no to the system that keeps flipping in and out. It's okay. It's okay for us as individuals to be able to be effective in what we do. Sometimes you have to sit down and say to yourself, look, no, I have to manage my discomfort area. Sometimes saying no comes with boundary enforcement. When you say no to some folks, when you say no to some situations, I can promise you this, and I can guarantee you, I have some people out there that can attest to this. When you have said no and you feel good about it, it empowers you with giving you more energy to do other things that you need to do, right? Miss Clara, Dr. Peters, you are absolutely right. Sometimes we have to share more than once because people may have missed it the first time. And it's an assignment that we have to make sure is out there. No is a complete sentence. You got that right, Dr. Peters. No is a complete sentence. It doesn't matter if you like it or you don't. When you say no, there's nothing else that has to be put to it. There's no other words. No is just the opposite of yes. When you say yes, yes is a complete sentence as well, depending on who you're saying yes to. But when you say no, no means no and no means no. Do we not teach that? Even when we're talking about domestic violence, we teach you that no means no. It's time for us to say no to some people, places, and things that are keeping us, that are hindering us from moving to our next. The people that are in this room right now, you young ladies that are with me on right now, these are some people that have understood the process of no. Dr. Peters, Pastor Deborah, Miss Carrie, they have developed a way of saying no that they feel good all under just by saying it, just by saying no and moving away. Sometimes you got to say no and walk away. No, walk away. No, talk to you later. Hang up the phone. When you establish those boundaries, it may feel uncomfortable to them, but in the end zone of this is what you're going to obtain is respect. When somebody can respect your boundaries, and you'll know if they're respecting it because they'll ask you, are you available? When can I? They begin to ask you those key words to let you know that they know that you have something in place and that you are working to go greater. Anybody who doesn't want to see you go greater is not anybody that you need in your season. I'm sorry, please, I apologize for that. Who may hurt behind that? If we are saying no to you, it is because we are in a growth mentality. We are moving to our next level that requires a no. I know I cannot be at your event. No, I will not drive across the world or get anybody to drive me across the world when I know that is uncomfortable. No, I will not. Nope. I will not. Nope. I will not eat green eggs and ham. I will not eat green eggs and ham. I don't know where that came from. Y'all know how I do. But when Dr. Seuss said that, he had a great idea. I'm telling you, no, I will not take your mess. No, I will not stand down. No, I will not take your junk. No, I know. Look. No means no. Put a period with it or exclamation point. Whichever is going to be necessary for you. Put that behind that no. Hey, Miss Kathy, haven't seen you in quite some time. Hope you are doing well. Thanks for popping in on us today. When I tell you that it is necessary for every person to understand the process of no. And this is the other thing. If something happens and it creates a negative reaction and it continues to make a negative reaction, then that's an indication that you don't need it any longer in your life. Separate yourself. Remove yourself yourself from the situation. It feels good when you don't have to be bothered with the same shenanigans of the world. No means no. No means no. Stick to your guns, my friend. Even when we're developing this whole process, and this is the thing, when I'm teaching about building positive relationships, this goes from the people that are in the office all the way down to the people who are cleaning the floors. When you set effective boundaries, when you set yourself up to have some positivity in your life, that means that you are creating an advancement process for yourself. It's time for you to think about it. Right? You exactly, Pastor Deborah. I'm about to call you Dr. Deborah. But when we stand ourselves, because when we come and stand for ourselves, nobody can take you down when you're standing for yourself. You have to be the priority. I teach, it's nothing wrong with you being the number one person in your life. Why? Because when you get to a certain age, you don't have, you've lost the opportunity. That's why we're talking today. We want you to get back into the process of saying no, because no means no. Building that boundary, being consistent with it. If someone calls you today, you can ask them, hey, do we have time to talk? No, we do not, but you can book a session with me and we can have a 30, 45 minute conversation. At the end of the day, you have to start establishing real-time goals that's going to make you stick to them yourself. I have a good friend of mine who I started off, I was her coach, and now she's, well, several of y'all. But now this particular coach will say, wait a minute, Coach Victoria, you told me to do X, Y, and Z. Now, why are you allowing? So now this is what I'm telling you. Stick to the rules. Boundaries means boundaries. Boundaries means respect. If someone cannot respect your boundaries, then they can't respect you. Move it on, call it the next day, right? I want to talk about this last point, but before I do that, I do want to tell you about some giveaways that I'm giving, some actually not total giveaways, but I'm letting you know about some information that you can be a part of. So I want to also give you an opportunity to check out a couple of things just about this. Yes, that's the new collaboration that we are the visionary for. You still have an opportunity if you have a story, a chapter that you want to add into this collaboration. We're talking about those things that started with inside of us that has helped us catapult us into our next. As you can see, there's some phenomenal people that will be in this collaboration, and you are more than welcome. We still have a few seats available, but you'd have to get in touch with me today because we are booking it up, and we're going to complete who is going to be those next few people that's going to be a part of it. And we still have some seats available. If you want to be a part of the collaboration to tell your part of the story in your own individual chapter, just reach out to us today and we'll get you all the information to get you set. You can join Miss Deborah and Miss Carrie and a few other those other people out there. But we are excited to have them with us, and we would be excited to have you as well. Thank you, Miss Kathy. We got a seat for you. If you want to join us, just let me know. But this is the thing. I want to get into the third portion and the final section of today of when we're talking about boundaries, right? Miss Carrie, we're so excited to have you and Miss Deborah and all of the others being a part of this collaboration. And this is something that has been in, somebody asked me this the other day, and we will be having a podcast with all of the intended, the current authors that would be a part of it. But this is the thing. This is the part that really excites me about this collaboration. This collaboration is about our innermost, right? I've been in several collaborations, and this is one thing that I can tell you. It is very therapeutic for you to release some things out of your past that can help someone else to get to theirs. See, this is a thing. If you're gonna go through the test, the Bible teaches us that without a test, we don't have a testimony. Don't we say that all the time? So this is your way of giving your testimonies to tell people what has empowered you and embraced you to kick to the next level. Dr. Peters, you know what? We got a seat for you, young lady, if you want to join us. I'm telling you, we would love to have some of you that want to be a part of this to come on in and be with us. It's important for you to understand how important that what it started with you. When you can break down what started with you, it has caused you to keep moving. What keeps me moving with being empowered, with elevated, not tolerated, is because I know where I've come from. I know the things, the situations, and circumstances that almost had me bound, that almost kept me moving to my next. And in this particular portion of the book, I'll be able to tell my story. Yes, Pastor Deborah, it is going to be one of the most phenomenal books of 2025. Pastor Deborah and I've already talked about it. We're going to be traveling the world through the whole year of 2025 just to talk about this particular book. I'm telling you, it is going to be powerful. And if you want to be a part, this is a time for you to come on and join us. This is a time. This is a time. Yes, this is the intercept that is leaping. That I love that, Pastor Deborah. We're going to have to use that more often because this is the thing. This is where we're going. Stop sitting and waiting. Let's start moving. Stop holding yourself back. Start moving. When you set boundaries, this is what you get. And this is the last part. This is the last point of the day. And it's called boundaries are freedom, not restrictions. Boundaries are the peacemaker. Boundary is the way that you can leave yourself of some of these things that you've been dealing with. Some of the reasons why we decided to go ahead and produce this book was because God's unctioning for us to do so. It was time for us to talk about what has kept us together, what has pushed us to this next level, what has engulfed around us that's causing us to keep moving. Every trial and tribulation that you went through or are going through is a part of the way of the path for somebody else who doesn't have to complete the same process, right? When we get to that place that we understand that it is important for us, it's important for us to keep on moving. The freedom that we have when we talk about the boundaries for people are often is limiting or rigid. But in reality, boundaries create freedom and space for healthy interactions. That's one of the reasons why we teach the class, building positive relationships, because through teaching it, I have learned that my boundaries are keeping me afloat. My boundaries is what helping me say yes to what I need to say yes to and what I can put in perspective to say no to. I don't know about you, but during the process, in this process, when we are talking about boundaries, we refrain from boundaries as a way to protect energy. We keep our energy on tack when we leave or when we put away other things out of the way. When we close off things that we don't need, it gives us the freedom to be able to be creative and think about what we want to do. See, this is the thing. Rather than anything in your life, it is important that you have peace. Since sometimes people say, well, that's what you think. It's being set aside from everybody. Can I tell you, not setting aside from everybody, but just limiting what I will allow in my space. As I said earlier, if you're here, this is my space. Anything outside of that is atmosphere. You have to be able to release it some way. And when you start setting these boundaries, the positive perspectives that makes it easier to embrace and implement. When you are having a positive moment, I don't care. Look, can I raise my hand and testify just a little bit? Even in my go-through moments, when I actually take the time to sit down and be able to process what is keeping me from getting to my next. The answer is always that I've overstepped my own boundaries. It's time for us to put it in perspective. Make this whole situation easier for you. When you are building positive relationships, this is one of the key things that makes them positive. When you can remove yourself from things that no longer hold you accountable, no longer that keeps you in place. See, this is the thing. Pastor Deborah, as she says, when we come forward and accept our now and walk in it, no other person can walk in that next. People are waiting. I'm reading her post because some of you may not be able to see it. It says people are waiting on our voices to help them, to intercede for them. Now is the time to set boundaries and to release what God wants us to release on this earth. Now is the time when we set boundaries. And Pastor Deborah, that is absolutely the truth. When we sit down and say, I'm setting myself up for greater, that means someone else is out there that is waiting for us, right? Someone else needs us, guys. Somebody needs your energy. As we talk about it in the building positive relationships, I don't care who you are. Everybody needs, Sister Deborah, Miss Carrie, everybody needs to take that class that I teach. Why? Because it gives you a new perspective. And the class is still open. We're still taking registration. You can still register for the class. The new class is starting on Monday. This is the thing. When you are able to really establish good relationships with people, then you will have lasting relationships. Some relationships are not meant to be forever and always. Forever, for always. Look, Luther Vandross said it, but I want to let you know that there's some things that you need to let go of. When you're building positive relationships, you will learn the technique of building boundaries. And you will learn how to build them from the beginning of the relationship. And for those relationships that last for a lifetime, you'll know how to maintain them. So, my friends, this is the day that you have the opportunity to expand your horizons and move to your next. This is the day that is called for you to wake up. This is your Wake Up Wednesday call. It's the Wake Up Wednesday call, y'all. It's time for you to set effective boundaries that's going to change some people's mind about who you are and what you stand for. Now, you said, well, I thought you was going to give us away something. Well, I'm going to give you an opportunity today to register for the Building Positive Relationship course that starts on Monday. It's an 8-week course that ends up in about 10 weeks, but it's an 8-week course that we go into depth and we talk in one whole class. We talk about boundary settings. This is an opportunity for you to register for that class. If you want to register for the class today, you will get an extra gift. And that extra gift is an extra coaching session, a one-on-one coaching session with me by yourself, not with your classmates. If you register today, the class does come automatically with 3 coaching sessions. But if you register for the class today, you will get an extra. That's 4 one-hour coaching sessions with me that you can pick and choose when you have them. They're not, I'm not going to tell you that you have to take all 4 at the same time. I'm going to tell you to expand your horizons, see what you need, when, and how. If you register today, and I say register today, that means you have to go in, click the site, and go into it and register today. You will get an additional coaching session, which is about an $85 cost an hour session that you're going to get free. So you're going to walk away from knowing how to build your relationships from the right way, and then have 4 coaching sessions to help you get to that place. I don't know about you, but I wish somebody had offered that to me a long time ago. Maybe some of the relationships that I've been in wouldn't have ended in the way that they did. Maybe it would have given me the opportunity to broaden my horizons and see what greater there is for me. I'm here to tell you that this is a day that the Lord has made for you. This is the time. This is how we do, right? This is how we look at some things on a different level, right? When you start really thinking about this and you start participating in it correctly, this is what happens. You will learn how to be empowered. You will learn how to be embraced. You will learn how to be educated. And more importantly, you will learn how to be elevated and not tolerated. It's a season for you. Again, I hope something has been said to you on Elevation Moments today that's going to help you rise with those boundaries. Because, baby, it's December. We got some things to do before it's time to go to 2025. We want to set those boundaries in place so when people approach us, we'll be ready for it. So how do you need to do that? Register for the building positive relationships. That class is going to start on Monday. Register today, get your free additional coaching session within that. And also, if you desire to be a part of the book collaboration, you have time to do it now. You have time to set it in motion now. This is the time to do it, and it's now. Pastor Deborah's already said it. Now is the season. We say it all the time. This is the season to be jolly. La 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 la. La 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 la. Well, maybe this is a season why you need to invest in the real you. Invest in who you are. Invest in who you are. Invest in who you are. Invest in the real you. It's time that everybody found out that you're not who they thought they were. You are more powerful when you set boundaries that you can stick to. My friends, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow on Thursday. We're going to maybe kind of switch it up a little bit tomorrow. It's going to be Talk Thursday. We're going to talk about some things. Just have a little talk time. So join us tomorrow. You'll see the time. Elevation Moments has a tendency now that we might pop up anytime. You just need to be watching for that notification that's coming out that we're going to be alive. But on most Wednesdays, you can catch us right here at 12:30 for your lunch break. So guys, have a blessed and wonderful day. And remember, it's time for you to be empowered, embraced, and educated, to be elevated and not tolerated. And we'll see you real soon.